This is the West Highland Way, Scotland's most iconic long-distance trail, spanning 155 kilometres from Milngavie, just outside Glasgow, all the way to Fort William at the base of Ben Nevis. It winds through some of the most breathtaking landscapes in the country.
Rolling farmlands, ancient forests, open moors, and towering mountains. This trail has it all.
We've been dreaming of hiking this route for a long time, to finally experience the Scottish Highlands we've only ever seen through a screen.
Over the next 4 days, we carried everything we needed to survive on our backs. Food, water, shelter, electricity, and no backup plans.
It was early spring, bracken was just sprouting, bluebells lined the trails, sheep grazed the hills with their newborn lambs, and the birds were chirping.
In places like this, you discover who you really are. You find out what you're made of. Every challenge, every view reminded us why we came.
I'm Katrina.
And I'm Malik.
This is our West Highland Way journey.
We started our journey in Fort William, the final destination of the trail. Rather than paying £80 for a 5-hour train south to the starting point, we decided to lean deeper into the backpacking spirit. We stepped further out of our comfort zone and onto the roadside. Thumbs up, trust in the process. 2.5
hours in on the edge of Glasgow, and we're entering our third lift.
Each hitchhike has only taken us like maximum 15-20 minutes to get, so I'm really impressed. Because we had 2 solo women, now we've got a solo man, so it's quite nice to have the variation of different convo. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to do it again already.
Martin, our final driver, was a kind dentist who had completed the hike some 20 years ago. He warned us about the Devil's Staircase and assured us we'd be rewarded with some stunning scenery in the days ahead.
Like our earlier drivers, Catherine and Christine, all proud Scots, Martin spoke of a deep love for the Highlands. Each ride felt like a mini guided tour, with stories and landmarks pointed out along the way.
Martin didn't just drop us off in Milngavie, he walked us to the official starting point and even snapped a photo of us on our film camera.
We waved goodbye and turned to face the trail. At last, we were on the West Highland Way.
We left the busy town behind, the pavement gradually giving way to dirt paths and open green spaces. Locals passed us by, dog walkers with friendly nods, joggers lost in their routines, as if the trail was just another part of their daily lives. It's currently 2:40 p.m. We're not sure where we're hoping to end up, but hoping just before the restrictions around Loch Lomond. Maybe Dryman, maybe a little bit ahead, we shall see.
The further we walked, the more the sounds of the town faded behind us, replaced by birdsong, wind in the trees, and the soft crunch of our trainers.
We are ready to try our protein bars.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And first try.
Here goes.
Wow.
We were surprised by how well our homemade protein bars turned out. Sweet, satisfying, and something we craved every day. It really smells like coconut sun cream.
We're going just now anyway. We've done the picture thing.
Two hikers pointed out an old haggis house overlooking the path ahead. It had stunning views. But sadly, the haggis wasn't home today.
More often than we expected, we'd spot another through hiker. Backpack strapped high, trekking poles tapping out a steady rhythm. It was comforting. We weren't alone in our late start, and that quiet shared understanding among strangers gave us a small boost of confidence.
Wow. I thought it was a sheep, you know. Wow.
White German Shepherd? Swiss Shepherd.
Swiss Shepherd, okay. Where are you from?
From Germany.
Nice. Okay, did you come just for this hike?
Yes.
With the dog too?
With the dog, yes. Before he gets too old. Oh.
And he sleeps in the tent with you, huh?
Yes.
I guess you need a 2-person tent for him.
Snacking on our homemade trail mix, we continued the walk north. Honesty boxes had been plentiful in the southern stretches before Loch Lomond, offering everything from home-baked treats to chilled drinks, even freezers full of ice cream, and more importantly, medical supplies.
We'd put a lot of planning and preparation into this trip, and we're already carrying 2 days' worth of food and snacks for the both of us. The plan was to resupply on day 3, so despite the tempting spread, we resisted the persuasive pull of every Honesty box we passed.
That's stunning.
Fridge and freezer. Bacon shed, Honesty box, home bacon. 200 metres.
Hopefully this shop's got a millionaire shortbread.
Let's hope so.
Caramel crispy slice. I think it's only right to do the Scottish tablet.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, look, we're suckers for home baked goods, especially when they're local specialities like a Bakewell tart in Bakewell or a slab of Scottish tablet on our first trip to Scotland. As we climbed a forestry track, Katrina pointed out that the sun was dropping fast and suggested we start looking for a scenic spot to camp.
Plus, I felt a blister forming, causing me to stop to apply some Luke tape. I was more than ready to give my feet a break. We had to be careful also, we were approaching the infamous restricted zone.
25 kilometres in, we're going about 5.5 hours now. We're just approaching...
Conic Hill,
So the issue is, from Conic Hill, there's about a 12-kilometre stretch where it's a restricted zone.
which you need a permit to camp at. So hopefully we find somewhere before or after, but I'm really hoping for before.
We didn't want to risk a restless night or an unwanted visit, especially in Scotland, the country so often praised as a prime example of how wild camping should be done.
So, we agreed to find a spot as soon as possible or risk walking late into the darkness. As we continued, we were greeted by dozens of fellow thru hikers, proudly seated in front of their tents. Smiles were exchanged and a few words of encouragement, and the occasional compliment passed between strangers.
We were genuinely surprised by how many tents we saw. Some pitched right beside the path, others almost camouflaged among the trees. It made us wonder, if England embraced the same wild camping freedoms as Scotland, would its trails be dotted with this many happy campers? Or was it simply the magic of this place, the raw beauty of the Highlands that brought them all here?
The foot of Conic Hill, we found ourselves extending our trekking poles for the first time. Normally we take it slow and steady, but this time there was a creeping paranoia with every step. We were inching closer to the restricted zone. The abundance of tents we'd seen earlier, whilst heartening, began to feel ominous. What if there wasn't anywhere left to pitch?
Luckily, we secured our pitch with sweeping views of the setting sun, orange sky spilling into the loch and dyeing its waters in the same fiery tones. We laughed at ourselves, what were we even stressing about? To our surprise, our feet still had some energy left, so we took a short detour up the official peak of Conic Hill. On day one's menu, roast veal burgers, seasoned just right and topped with melted cheese. We even had one other special ingredient.
Some hot sausage from Kosovo.
As the burgers sizzled, we kept one eye on the food and the other on the horizon, watching the orange sky slowly drain to black behind the distant Monroes. One burger up for Malika.
Thank you.
One burger up for me. The wind kept trying to push us into our tent, but we stayed on Conic Hill for as long as we could, soaking in every last view of Scotland until the light was gone and there was nothing left to see.
Got the Scottish tablet that we're going to be trying.
Just £2.
Right.
Boop. It's so good. It's like a chalky fudge. Imagine if they'd done iron brew flavour.
And we watched Nosferatu in here. We had some incense burning as well.
1922, Nosferatu.
It's 11 p.m. and I think we've done about maybe 31 kilometres on day one. Let's see how much we get to on day 2 tomorrow. Good night.
We started our morning early, dismantling the tent at 5:46 in the morning. Crack of dawning, and now we yawning.
Had a decent night's sleep last night. Wasn't amazing.
But the view was amazing.
The view was amazing. Grass was very bumpy. We was, without realising, set up on top of like 3-4 grassy knolls. Woke up at, I don't know, like 4 a.m. So we always have camped by the path on through hikes or just on normal weekend hikes, and it's never been a problem until we're on a popular West Highland Way, and at 4 a.m. we've got people literally shouting right by our tents, which wasn't great, but hey, that was a nice alarm clock, I suppose. Walking down towards Loch Lomond with the sound of cuckoos singing in the background.
I believe we're 2 kilometres away from Balmahar.
Almaha, a small village of around 60 residents, sits on the eastern shore of Loch Lomond, where West Highland Way hikers first meet the mighty loch and begin a 36-kilometre stretch along its edge.
Although small, the village offers a well-stocked visitor centre, a charming cafe, and a popular inn where many hikers pause for a rest or a bite to eat before continuing north.
We didn't waste any time acquainting ourselves with the loch, knowing it would be our constant companion for the next long stretch of the journey.
Regretfully, we took this short stroll along the fine gravel shore for granted, assuming the shingles might get monotonous after 36 kilometres.
I feel like I'm on holiday.
But as we left the beach behind, the trail began weaving through lush green woodland, home, once again, to another so-called haggis house.
I'm on 80.
Look at his hairdo.
No hot.
So, when we later stumbled across a quiet little shoreline, we knew better than to pass it up. We stopped there for our first meal of the day, grateful for the moment and the view.
8:30 and we're just having breakfast right by Loch Lomond here. Cat's making herself a little coffee.
We prepped our oats at home and added a few pieces of fine vanilla fudge to sweeten them up. One bag was just right for me and Katrina, and we packed 4 in total for the journey.
Ew.
And yes, we did just catch a bird doing its business. Katrina was not impressed.
No, I was not, but back to breakfast. I can't live without coffee. While camping, I don't want to be hauling around warm milk in my bag for days. Instead, all I need is ground coffee and a small Turkish coffee pot to boil the water. This allows me to get my caffeine fix on the trail without the need of milk.
Within the woodland sections along the loch, patches of bluebells lined the trail, adding a soft touch of colour to the greenery. Their faint scent drifted through the trees, and for a moment, everything felt still and quiet. It was a simple reminder that spring had fully arrived in the Highlands, and with the warm sun on our backs, summer didn't feel far off either.
Quite hard to swing with your back on.
I can imagine.
Higher. Over your head.
You're never too old to enjoy a swing. After a brief moment of play, we continued heading north alongside the largest body of freshwater in the UK, which boasts 30 islands with a few extra islets appearing when the water level drops.
I think I have some lunch here. Do you want to eat here?
We found another scenic spot along the shore to cook our next meal, sausage and cheese wraps.
While I prepare the food, did you know that one of the islands on the loch is home to a small population of wallabies? That's right, a surprising bit of Australian outback tucked into the Scottish Highlands.
We coated the sausages in olive oil, partly for the calories, but also to stop them from sticking to the pan. A pinch of salt for flavour and to help fend off the cramps. Plus a homemade cocktail of hot spices brought the whole thing together.
Can't forget the cheese.
That went on last, so it melted nicely over the top.
Once the sausages had crisped up on the outside, I turned off the gas and wrapped everything up. Simple, satisfying trail food.
Dinner's ready.
At home, we both tend to hope the other person will do the washing. As I cooked, that meant Katrina was on washing up duty.
But out here with views like this, how could you complain about cleaning a couple of utensils? It's not every day you get to use the waves of Loch Lomond to rinse your frying pan.
We're about 53 kilometres in. It's about 1:15 on Friday. Still got about 15-ish kilometres, maybe 10 to 15 kilometres left of Loch Lomond. How are you feeling, Kat?
Yeah, not feeling too great. I've come down with a bit of an illness that I don't want to disclose what it is on YouTube, but you can guess what it is. But it is what it is. We've popped some Imodium, or I have, because I'm the one that's suffering. But other than that, my shoulders are really achy, but everything else is all good. Bill Loban.
Rest in peace to Bill.
Aww.
In 1975, Bill, a teacher and experienced hill walker, jumped into the stream at Cowness to save his students and colleague after they fell in. Though a strong swimmer, he was tragically swept away. The others were rescued by a local crofter in his boat. This cairn and plaque honour his brave act. Nice in there, right? It's massive.
these looks delicious as well. I wouldn't know which one to choose, so best not even get any. Inversnaid Hotel was one of the few establishments on the east side of the loch, which made it the perfect refuge point for hikers.
We even got our own VIP walker's entrance, where we could store our bags and muddy shoes. Despite the surprising dry weather in Scotland, we copied all those before us and also politely took off our trail runners. Walking through the hotel in just socks searching for the bathroom felt a bit strange.
But the soft carpet under our feet was a pleasant relief after trekking over rough crags all day. The hotel was busy, and not just with hikers. We exchanged nods and smiles with familiar faces we'd seen earlier on the trail. After refilling our water bottles, we were ready to get back to stepping.
Shortly after leaving the hotel, we met a father and son from Philadelphia, hiking the trail and capturing the scenery of their high-end cameras and long lenses. We walked together for hours, deep in inspiring conversation, yet somehow never exchanged names.
There's a much more quicker way down.
Go on, guys. It's okay. And we're on the East Coast, so should be doing the Appalachian Trail.
No way.
And this supposedly should be the same mountain range. When it was Pangea,
How you mean, sorry?
when it was Pangea, the continents were together.
Oh, okay.
This is all the same.
I
range.
see. That makes so much sense, of course.
Separated. But really, if you look at a lot of the rocks and some of the scenery,
Yeah.
when you get into Appalachia, it's pretty similar to this.
Both left an impression, but it was the dad who truly stood out. He told us how at 75, he taught himself to climb trees using ropes and knots just from watching YouTube. With a full head of grey hair and quiet confidence, he scaled two 50-metre oak trees in his back garden, not just for the thrill, but to cut them down himself. It might not sound remarkable on paper, but hearing of someone his age take on something so physical, so hands-on and self-taught was genuinely humbling.
Yes, thank you. God damn.
Okay,
Yeah. I luckily landed that, otherwise that could have been, again, another write-off.
And I'm not even stoned. See, you should have been, then you would have noticed.
They really told you this is the end of the rocks?
Yeah, she said there's no more rocky bits. That's it. It's all flat and clear from here.
There was no rocks back there, there's only rocks here.
No.
So what's your relation then, father and son?
Yeah,
Nice. Who talked who into doing this?
he did.
Yeah?
I was telling my brother about it,
Uh-huh.
and he says, I hate to tell you this, but I think he's trying to kill you.
We finally reached the end of the loch and were greeted with a golden sanded beach stretching over to the other side. The beach allowed us to look south down a length of Lomond, reminding us just how far we walked.
I took the opportunity to wash my feet in the cool water, joined by the two Americans and a woman from the Highlands. The sun went in for a full swim, something Malik tried to talk me into, but the water was far too cold for anything more than a quick dip of the toes.
We said our goodbyes to the Americans, wished them well and continued north. In the distance, we caught our first glimpse of the mountains that lay ahead, a promise of what was to come. Though still low in altitude for now, the sight stirred excitement. Soon we'd be deep into the highlands, surrounded by peaks and further removed from civilization. The real wilderness was waiting.
Turns out, those golden sands tricked us. Loch Lomond still had more to give.
Imagine living there. This is nice.
We had a peek inside Dween Buffy. Tempting as it was, we knew it would be a packed and restless night, so we chose to keep moving.
Fireplace as well. I imagine it'll get crazy busy of it being on the way.
The comforting aroma of hot food drifted through the Ben Glass campsite. A welcoming scent after a long day on our feet. It was tempting to stop, but we pressed on, craving not just rest, but a quieter, more picturesque spot to settle in and let our aching limbs recover in peace.
We're 69 kilometers in, and we've decided to call it here for day 2. Feet are hurting quite a bit.
Yeah.
But we've got through all of Loch Lomond today, which is It's good.
So the reason we've stopped here is because the next 10 kilometres is alongside a road and we don't want to camp anywhere where we can hear lots of vehicles. So we walked past this place, stumbled across it. There's a little river. There's also a little fire pit as well, which is nice. And it's got a lot of elevation and we don't fancy that right now.
Careful. There's a monster in there. And I don't even know what that's called. Burrow. No, actually, it looks like there's some eyes looking down. Can you see?
Yeah, it's a troll. Smells divine.
On the menu tonight, we have got elk.
Ooh.
Sunset about 10 minutes ago, and we're already going to sleep. Even though it's still light outside, but we are so tired. Cat fell asleep while watching the film. Just saw on my watch, apparently I slept for 2 hours and 50 minutes last night. Alright, cool. See you guys in the morning. Good morning. Sunday morning, lots of incline here. Took us a while to get out the tent.
The following morning started a little bit later than we'd hoped, mainly because we were avoiding the incline that lay ahead. However, once we got moving, we realised the climb was actually very gentle. We'd built it up far more in our heads. We followed the trail as it danced around the A82, weaving under, over and across the main road that connects the lowlands of Scotland to the serene Highlands.
We've both been violently ill on past hikes, likely from drinking dirty water, despite using a filter. With Katrina's stomach already acting up, we were more hesitant than ever to rely on filtered water unless absolutely necessary. This was one of those times. Hours away from civilization, we took the risk.
We'd always believed these filters made water completely safe to drink. Of course, we weren't scooping from muddy puddles, only clear, fast-flowing streams.
On our way home, we came across an advisory from park rangers warning that over 9 hikers had fallen seriously ill after drinking filtered river water near Balmaha that same weekend. It didn't happen to us, but it confirmed our fears. Those filters might not be as safe as they claim.
Good morning, it is 11 a.m. We're at 83 kilometres. We've got a few more kilometres to go until we hit the Green Welly, which is our next resupply point, which we will be resupplying at. Very much looking forward to it. Gonna grab some lunch, dinner, and just stock up for the rest of the days as well.
We've seen a lot of the mountains beforehand. We were just seeing pretty much Loch Lomond, and we knew he was going to be walking on Loch Lomond for a while, but you actually don't see much of it when you walk along it. A lot of the time you'll spend walking through forests, but now we're up in the Highlands, mountains in all directions.
Yeah, and the terrain today isn't too bad on your feet.
No.
There's quite a few ups and downs, but nothing as bad as yesterday. The ups and downs yesterday weren't crazy elevation, but the terrain was just terrible.
Yeah.
Really
big boulders you had to manoeuvre through.
Yeah, which really caused fatigue.
Yeah.
But today I feel like I've got quite a bit of energy. My feet are aching already.
Legend has it, this loch right here is where Robert Le Bruce, a Celtic warrior all these years ago, and his army, apparently they disowned all their weapons and swords in this loch. Apparently, it was actually another loch, and then in 2015, Edinburgh Armories came and metal detected the loch and the surrounding areas and the other supposed loch and found no evidence. But I suppose it's a cool story though, isn't it?
Longsword was called Claymore, which is Gaelic for longsword.
I'm certain there's a sword in Skyrim and Oblivion called Claymore. Perhaps this is the origins of it. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's it, yes please.
We took a break at the Green Welly, a spot we'd actually visited before, early in our trip with the kind woman that gave us a lift from Glencoe to Glasgow.
That morning, I spotted the Rainbow Crispy, a pink bar of bright M&Ms, and swore I'd get one when we come back. This time I did, along with a mystery cake that definitely wasn't an orange slice that it claimed to be.
Of course, we had to fuel up with some iron brew. Free refills meant we drank more than we probably should have.
We were also on a resupply mission.
Good shot?
Yeah.
No wraps in sight, but a passing hiker named Darren dipped us off to another shop nearby.
Still no luck. So we settled for burger buns, some meat for dinner, and a snack top-up since Malik had already wiped out the trail mix.
We're just going to Bridgevorkey, about, 95 kilometres in. Look who just came to accompany us.
What's your name, my darling? Thanks. He's gorgeous, but he's got green underneath his wings.
Even he's enjoying our protein bars.
Yeah.
We stopped for a quick late lunch around 4 p.m. at a picnic area overlooking the river beneath the Bridge of Orkney. Mixing things up from our usual sausage and cheese wraps, we had sausage and cheeseburgers, and they were delicious. They smelled so good they even attracted a little willow warbler who came to keep us company while we ate. When it came time for dessert, our feathered friend got a bit braver, hopping closer to Katrina as she reached into her bag for our homemade protein bars. He clearly didn't want to be left out.
It was the first time we'd ever fed a wild bird, and though it might seem like such a small thing, it turned out to be one of the highlights of our day. A good hot dinner though, like spicy, warms you up. It is about 9:15 and we are heading off to sleep. We've done about 41 kilometres today, so definitely well-deserved rest. Night, guys. See you in the morning.
Six a.m. on Bank Holiday Monday. It was the coldest night last night. It got to about -1 according to my thermometer, and yeah, I'd definitely say we felt it. Did you feel it?
Yes,
Yeah.
but as I always say, if you tuck yourself under the duvet, you'll be absolutely fine.
First time we've seen the sunrise all hike so far. 110 kilometers in, got about 43 left. Potentially could finish out today or very early tomorrow. We'll see how far we get along.
I'm hoping to have one more night on trail, I won't lie, because we're in Scotland. We haven't been to Scotland before, and I have really been enjoying each camp, so it'll be really nice to have one more night and then a chilled walk back to the car tomorrow. So let's see what happens. Hopefully it'll be a nicer day. Well, it can't be any nicer than it has been. We've been treated really well with the weather, but nicer than it is right now. We stumbled across a little gift. Like, we cannot leave this.
Some
How
rainbow
cute.
Highland cow.
We were saying we hope to see some Highland cows, and we have,
Put it in here.
but not as many as I thought. Yeah, because if we do walk past someone and say, hey, that's my Highland cow, we'll be like, yeah, okay, cool, have it back. Oh, that's so cute. Oh. 115 kilometres in, we found ourselves surrounded by the towering mountains that make Glencoe so special. The most iconic of them all, Buakil Etiv Mor, stood proudly ahead of us, its sharp pyramid-like peak dominating the landscape. It's one of those places where you just have to stop and take it in. After a few days of walking, to be here in this exact spot, it felt surreal.
I bloody found Lightning McQueen.
No way.
Look, just down here. Alright. Get on a pretzel.
Yeah, go on then.
Good morning. You doing helping with the dog as well, yeah?
Yeah. It's great, all 15.
No way.
Wow.
It's good breakfast for £10 in the hotel.
Oh, really?
Really?
Any amount of food you want.
No way.
Wow.
Fry up, pork leg.
Alright, that's the trail mix, Katrina.
And that's porridge, Malik.
Oh.
Your trail mix, we must share, you must.
Now we face a section we've been dreading the most. Martin the dentist who gave us our final lift to the start had warned us about this particular incline.
Along the trail, we heard whispers from other hikers that this climb had turned legs to jelly and morale to dust. The Devil's Staircase had a reputation, and now it was time for me and Malik to face it.
A sign at the foot of the staircase claimed it was named after dam workers who, after drinking in King's House, fell to their deaths on the return climb. But we couldn't find any records of such incidents.
I assume that's the town we're heading to then, or a little village.
In fact, documents suggest it was simply named for its steep gradient. Now this was undoubtedly the toughest section of the hike, but without the warning or the sign, it would have just felt like any other climb.
We were quickly descending into the village of Kinlochleven, home to around 760 residents, one of whom joined our company for what felt like a couple of hours on the way down. She was a knowledgeable soul, a child of the 60s who spoke passionately about her activism and lifelong pursuit of justice in the hope of making the world a better place.
She kept insisting we carry on without her and walk at our usual pace, but we found her so inspiring and so insightful we didn't want to part ways. Born in England, she had moved to the Highlands in her early 20s out of a deep love for the nature. But it wasn't until she turned 60 that she began bagging the Monroes. And in just 5 years, she had already claimed over 220.
When we asked if she could recommend any scenic spots nearby, she told us about the ruins of an old house her best friend used to own 50 years ago. It was a place she often visited with her family for dinner. She spoke of it with a sense of nostalgia that lingered in the air as we walked. After our stop in Kinlochleven, we have come to... Do you know whereabouts we are?
Nope.
Well, we're 10 kilometres away from the finish line, so that's great. We've managed to find a small flat spot here. There was 2 ladies that walked past stressing out because they couldn't find anywhere. So I am really glad that we pitched up. We're gonna cook some dinner, enjoying some trail mix, and get some sleep. Maybe watch a film.
Yeah.
Enjoy the view, of course, and enjoy the rest of the sun whilst it's out, and then wake up at our usual time and do the last 10.48 kilometres all the way down to Port William.
We was hoping to finish it all today, but our feet are killing us.
The spot by the ruins turned out to be the most scenic part of the Larringmoor Valley, a perfect recommendation. But we arrived a bit too early in the day and we felt like we had a few more kilometres left in us.
That is what we're heading to sleep with. We've literally just been watching the sunset with the movie right in the middle. We watched Point Break, but we were absolutely shattered. I believe it's 10 o'clock, a little bit later than usual. But yeah, we're going to sign off here for the night.
We didn't want to miss the sun.
Yeah, we didn't want to miss the sunset 'cause it's still going on. It's been the longest sunset we've had this trip. And we'll see you in the morning once we get up, hopefully to sunrise.
.30 on Tuesday morning. We've got just 11 kilometres left until the grand finale, Fort William. Had a decent night's sleep last night. It was the first time we actually slept in a field with sheep. And at first I was thinking, I'm hoping they're not going to bar all night. They did not. They started only about, I think, 4:30 in the morning. Which ain't too bad. We got a decent night's sleep. And of course, we're not the first ever people to camp in a field of sheep. It's just our first time, but no issue at all. We did, however, have quite a funny, unique sound going on all night. What was that, Kat?
It was a common snipe.
Yeah, I'll play it right now.
At 5 kilometres in, we're hoping to have some breakfast, munch on that, and then carry on the next 6 kilometres back to the car.
We've really enjoyed the trail so far. It's definitely the busiest trail we've done. Out of all the hikes we have done, we saw more people on the first day than all of them hikes put together. There's a lot of wild campers, a lot of people who do it by going B&B to B&B with or without bag drops.
Everyone's very friendly, everyone that we've spoken to so far, which
Yeah.
is a lot of the people that we've met on this trip.
We've met some great people, and yeah, a lot of the terrain you're walking on is these rocks.
Nightmare.
Beat your feet up, so
Yeah.
we're kind of just sticking to the grass wherever we can.
Yeah. Sometimes though, the grass does not help because they'll have hidden rocks in between. Ooh, they'll have hidden rocks underneath it, and it's actually just better to walk on these rocks than them ones. Now, on our final day, we found ourselves slowing our steps, stretching out breaks, finding excuses to linger. We weren't rushing to the finish anymore. The urgency that had pushed us forward in the beginning was gone, replaced by something quieter and harder to define. A reluctance, maybe. A sense that once we stepped off this trail, it would all become memory, no longer something we were in, but something we had done.
We had carried our bodies across Scotland, through endless hills and sweeping valleys, and now that the end was in reach, we weren't really sure we wanted it.
Before entering the civilization of Fort William, we took one final pause to absorb the quiet. Wanting to hold on to the stillness just a little longer, we stepped off the path and found a quiet patch of forest. We used a fallen tree slumped beneath its still-standing piers as our final resting spot. Here, we made our last batch of oats, and I brewed my final coffee of the trail. The wilderness began to recede as the trail shifted. Gravel paths transitioned to paved roads, and the raw quiet of the highlands was washed out to the hum of distant civilization. We passed our car knowing we couldn't stop yet. Malik hobbled forward, his trekking pole now more of a crutch than a tool, bearing the weight his knee no longer could. But we kept moving forward.
Can we get a picture of you guys?
Yeah, go on, Kat, get a film camera.
We have finally reached Fort William, which is the end point of West Highland Way. It was a beautiful little end point, but we feel like the statue needs to be turned around. So when you do take photos of the statue, you've got the sea behind you. So we're walking back to the car because we did park it along the West
3
Highland.
kilometres back.
Yeah, 3 kilometres back from the end point. But hey ho, what a beautiful journey. Had so much fun. Would highly, highly recommend anyone who is looking into doing it to do it. So many great people we met. We literally just spent the last 5 kilometres, maybe 4, with a lovely guy called Darren, who we kept seeing on trail but didn't have like full-on conversations until the very end. So that was nice. Popped into a little shop and got some badges. Got some iron brew macaroon.
Oh,
But yeah, that's it from us, and we'll see you in the next one. I wanted to be cool and actually